Welcome to the show where we discuss the first Marvel Netflix series and discern the truth about why this show stands above the rest. The elements of quality storytelling that other shows are blind to. But
But
not this
not this
show.
show.
So join us as we start Discerning Daredevil. And tonight we are talking about Season 3, Episode 11. That's right, folks. We're getting on to it, down to the last stretch of episodes. We are on Reunion. That's right. It's Murdoch and Nelson getting back together. Dragon, the band is getting back together. Happy days are here again. Let's jump right into it with the plot.
All right, plot goes a little something like this, folks. Matt and Karen are trapped in the church as Dex and the FBI surround the building. Foggy is faced with a very difficult choice. Maggie helps save the day along with Nadine and Detective Mahoney, Sergeant Detective, whichever. Fisk is a free man and going after Rabbit in a snowstorm. Meanwhile, Foggy, Karen, and Matt team up again. One could say they're reunited, and it feels so good. It really does. And craft a plan to take Fisk down legally via Nadim. And that's the plot.
All right. Okay, then let's get into the arcs really quickly. Don't have a ton of time here. Let's go. Starting with, of course, Matt. What's going on with Matt Dragon?
Of course, Matt is reeling after Lantham's death, which I would argue he really takes as a major wake up call. That's what this episode is really about. It's about kind of it's kind of an aftermath sort of episode, kind of aftermath in the thick of things, where it's kind of an aftermath, but we don't have time to
Dragon, one
explain.
could say, like, one episode removed, it's an aftermath to aftermath.
Yes, one could say that, and that's the thing, PP. This feels like it's sort of the. I'm sorry,
I
this is
feel
like
like that. I feel like that speaks to the pace of season 3 right there.
it is. It is the here's the thing. It is the aftermath of the aftermath. But by the same token, it's kind of the aftermath, but we don't have time to like fully bask in the aftermath because we still need to get out of this freaking church. That's the
Right,
idea, you
right,
know.
right. Yeah.
So I think Lanham's death, while he's reeling from all this, it's the wake up call that kind of gets him. He's basically processing that kind of like gives him the push that he needs. Okay, I got to reunite with my friends. If Lantham didn't die, I don't think he would have gotten to that place. I'm not, at least not to the place where he absolutely realized, okay, I need to be reunited with Karen. We got to work as a team again.
Uh-huh.
He realizes how valuable life is and how fleeting it can be. Now, he can't just trying to protect his friends from a distance. Nothing's going to stop that from happening. Therefore, he should be there with them. I think Lantham's death is kind of what clarifies that for him. And this kind of sets him down the healing path. And I think Matt is basically where we are in this stage of the whole season's arc with Matt. I think Matt is convinced that the path he's on a path to getting to the season one status quo, which is a good thing. He wants to get back to the way things were way back in season one. With the relationships, with forging his relationships and embracing the life of Matt and Murdoch. So he's on the right path there. But the trouble is he thinks the only way of getting to that place is killing Fisk, and that's where things start to break down there with people. It's like, okay, good endpoint, Matt, but getting there a little messy. Might have to sort that out.
Right, right.
That's the thing, but he's making a valid legal argument. Well, kind of
Kind of
a
like
valid
killing Fisk is Matt's own personal plush rush.
to an extent. Yeah, yeah. It's like not again. I love that he's not doing it out of revenge anymore. Though it's not out of revenge, but it's like the only eventuality. He's making kind of the legal argument as if we're in kind of the moral courtroom between him and Foggy that we have to kill Fisk because we put him in prison, didn't work. If we want to get back to the way things were, which I'm fully dedicated to doing, we have to I have to kill him. But basically, through the coaxing, he gives it one last shot. Okay, I'm going to give it one last shot, and this is kind of where basically this arc of our story onward, this leg of our story onward is going to be kind of symbolically Daredevil's way versus Matt Murdock's way, which is going to kind of win out at the end of the day, I guess, in terms of the major character arc of the season, like which is which version of his life is which version of Jack Murdoch's. Here's the fascinating thing: it's kind of like which version of Jack Murdoch's life wins out. It wins out at the end of the day. Is it going to be the dream of Jack Murdoch that is Matt Murdoch, the upstanding lawyer, the guy who believes in the law, the vision that he had for his son, or Matt's interpretation of his father? This is a guy who beat people up, but again, morally because it was but he made the right calls. He's going to be like, am I going to solve this with my fist, or am I going to solve this legally? both honoring his father, but in a different way.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, and of course, this kind of fits into the whole tragedy leads to hope idea, where again he lost his, he's putting his trust in his friends, which in the law again. By the same token, he got to that point after losing Lantham. So again, tragedy leading to the hope that okay, maybe it's not all terrible. Maybe there's like it's terrible, but there's still hope that we can win out.
All right. Okie dokie. All right, so Fisk, Dragon, whatever you do, just never if Fisk asks you to borrow your jacket, just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Good advice. We'll find out more about that later.
So yeah, Fisk is just very, very unhappy that things aren't going his way, Dragon. That's essentially Fisk's arc this episode. It's like he can't get a hold of Rabbit in a snowstorm. Karen Page isn't dead. Oh man, what's a poor Kingpin to do?
Yeah, that's the thing. So Fisk, he's regaining more power. Basically, this is the most powerful we've seen Fisk. He's more powerful as his appeal's gone through. His charges have been dropped.
It's like big victories and small defeats. You know what I mean? And the small defeats are getting to him.
Precisely. That's it, Tiki. You got it right there. Kingpin. He's worked. Basically, he's worked his magic, turning the people's hatred for him onto Daredevil. I mean, everything's coming up Fisk, folks. This episode it really is, with the exception of the personal stuff, where it's that Fisk has this perverse total control of the system. He's perverted everything that Matt Murdock believes in. Everything believing the law is everything. He's working exactly to his advantage. He's untouchable at this point. And here's the fascinating. I think he believes in it. I love the Kingpin's speech to the crowd. By the way, I love that scene so much.
The Kingpin speech.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, you see, Jeffrey Rush, I have this stuttering problem.
Anyway, so he, I think he does believe. I think he genuinely believes in his speech.
They're going to make me a CGI cat in the director's next movie.
Anyway,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
In all seriousness, though, that's the thing. I think he believes in his speech that he gives them. Where again, think about it. Like what he's saying is, he went up against this. He challenged the system. He told the truth, and he did all this to make the city a better place. If you look at season 1, what the Kingpin does, again, I think he believes all that. Where he did challenge the system with the way he operated. He never lies. And he wants to make the city, he always believed in making the city a better place, which is all true, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so, of course, as you mentioned, as much control as he has, I love that as much control as Fisk has, he's still fundamentally who he is, where Daredevil's questioning who he is. I love that parallel between the two of them, where he's this whole season is Daredevil questioning who he is, where Fisk, as we learned, ever since the start, knowing how much he's manipulated the FBI, he knew from the start, he knows who he is. Through and through with all how he's sticking to the truth and everything. It's very.
He doesn't have to go through a Kingpin no more arc.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, the emotional goals are the ones that challenge him. As much powerful as he is, those emotional goals are the only things that are challenging him. And the major, in terms of breaking down reunions here, so of course Matt, he's reunited with his friends and of course his mother, but it's a little frosty at the moment. And with Fisk, the reunion that he's prepping for is the reunion with Vanessa, which of course he's kind of trying to do symbolically. And those are the two things. Those are the personal things. He's trying to have his symbolic reunion with Vanessa, which is kind of foiled this episode. And then his revenge on Karen Page is also foiled, which honestly both those tie into our blinding moments. I'm just now realizing that.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty. So let's talk Nadeem.
So Nadeem puts quite simply here. Nadeem's not allowed without getting some other stuff here. So Nadeem, he's in an impossible position. I love that Maggie helps him see the light. He takes a big risk in doing the right thing this episode, and of course, like that big risk leads to his worst nightmare. And of course, that nightmare scenario. It's like every FBI agent and every man, especially in law enforcement, their worst nightmares of their family could be gotten to by the bad guys. And in this case, it's like he's punished for making the right choice, and again, he's kind of getting a taste of what Matt Murdock's been dealing with this whole season. You do the right thing, and then Father Lantham gets a billy club through the chest.
Yeah, right.
That's life for you. But again, importantly, like the whole tragedy leading to hope thing, again, making the right choice and things turning out terribly, your worst nightmare coming to life, a window of hope is provided.
Yeah, and just kind of just speak to Nadim's just the general function of him through the show, because of course Dragon, you and I have always sung his praises. I mean, I think we might be some of Nadim's biggest fans.
Nadim.
I mean, generally, I think we might be some of his biggest fans on the internet, Dragon. We love this guy because, I mean, I don't know. I just think, now that we've really escalated, it's so fascinating to see him, work through the church situation where he has to lie and he has to give the bullshit stories, but you can tell it's bothering him, and you can tell with the text thing, it's like, dude, okay, you murdered a priest, and now you're going into the church, you're saying that the person that Daredevil clearly just tried to kill is Daredevil's accomplice. It's like he's pointing out the holes, but he has no choice but to kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, speaking of the man who killed the priest, let's talk about Dex.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Just, I don't know. Dragon, I mean, besides Fisk, Dex might even be more compelling than Kilgrave. He really might be, just in this one season. I mean, they really just nailed him in terms of, whereas Nadim is having this moral dilemma, Dex is just completely on the other end. It's like he's having a dilemma, like he is scared shitless about failure, and he is just pissed off and just like does not want to call the Kingpin at all and is going to go to the ends of the earth. But yeah, if there's one thing that Dex does not lack, it's conviction in the mission, man. It's like he is fully wrapped up in it at this point.
Now, he's just itching to kill everyone around him to get to Karen Page. And you can feel it. I don't think he can't, though, because obviously it would not turn out well for him. Like, he wanted to kill Daredevil's mother. He did, but then he was going to stop for the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I really love that, through the progression of Dex as a character throughout all these episodes, it's just we just shred a little bit of humanity each and every time we see him. Each and every episode, he's a little less there.
True. And this is the thing, I love how kind of true to Bullseye this is, because Bullseye is, he's given a target by his mentor, by his kind of proverbial father figure, if you will, and he missed. Of course, Teague, as you know, Bullseye, the fundamental thing that drives him crazier than anything on this earth is missing. In this case, he missed the target, and literally he missed in terms of like the Bully Club went to Lanto and not Karen, so he missed in both senses of the word. And of course, she's right under his nose for another shot, but he can't get to her. And
that's a very, very creepy shot right there. And I love how we don't even dwell on it at all. It's just kind of happening.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So again, Dex we built it up so well in the show. Dex's obsessive, compulsive needs, the obsessive compulsive disorder is flaring up majorly, and he's on edge, and he's killing people in alleys when he's just like pissed off. Just like they see him, he's like taking off his helmet really recklessly, and they see him, he's like throws bottles. He's killing him in the alleyway because he's ticked off that he missed. And again, we continue to build up how unstable Bullseye is becoming, and that one, he already has a bad role model in the Kingpin, but even worse, it's that now he's becoming increasingly more unstable. He's doing the primal scream, but it's only doing so much. Again, I love what the primal scream moment that we do have with him. He goes inside the ambulance, he gives the primal scream, like you learned from the Kingpin. He's becoming like Fisk. Basically, he's becoming like Fisk, but doubly as emotionally unstable. Fisk is like, basically imagine if Fisk became increasingly more emotionally unstable with every primal scream. That's kind of what we're having with Dex here.
Yeah.
Points we're doing a lot of build up for Dex for the next two episodes in this episode. It's kind of what I think what we're doing here. All right.
Okay, I think that's it for the arcs, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, Daring Dynamics. Where to start?
Okay, so we're going to kind of combine these. We have kind of Matt, Karen, and Foggy. So let's just break it down a little bit. Let's talk about Matt and Karen, then Matt and Foggy. I mean, obviously Karen, basically Foggy helps Karen out in the pinch. Not a lot there, but basically it's the group as a whole. But let's kind of view it through Matt.
I mean, I think the obvious comparison to make is kind of the angel and devil on the shoulder.
Precisely. Karen's the devil, and then Foggy be the angel.
Right, but Karen's not necessarily like malicious in this situation at all. Like you get it, and throughout the last couple episodes, it's like Karen Page has been through hell and back, and then we saw her backstory, which was just another kind of hell. And so, we really get it. But yeah, I mean, the Fogster, man, it's like, and I do like the frustration that Charlie Cox plays when he's talking to Foggy, because Foggy is laying out, like Foggy, look, like we've tried putting him away. You don't be so naive to think that just extra security at a prison is going to do anything. Like, he owns the system. There are some men that are just above the law. But good old Franklin Nelson, man, he's given it his all to convince him otherwise.
Absolutely. To speak about Matt and Karen, because that was I love what we did here with them. They're reunited again. Remember, both of our characters, both Matt and Karen, Matt and Foggy, they're both reunited after they haven't seen each other since episode 6. Really, of course, I know Matt was saving Karen, but they haven't really kind of had a chance. Like, oh hey, how's it going since episode 6?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while, and usually even then people are still trying to kill him in those scenes. But it's been a while. So they have a really great real conversation with each other after Lantum and after the events of episode 10 between Matt and Karen. And Matt sees that Karen has gone down a path that he's contemplating. I thought that was a really fascinating thing with their dynamic, where again Matt's seeing what us, the audience, what you and I have been seeing this whole season. Where Karen is someone who's been kind of going down the path that Matt has been trying to commit himself to at the start of things. I'm going to cut out Matt Murdock from my life. I'm just going to embrace the Daredevil antics, the vigilante, the devil of Hell's Kitchen side of things. But Karen's, again, has gone a step further. She's killed people. And of course, as we learned, she's kind of incidentally killed people as well. And Karen, I love that Karen is not judging Matt at all for the choice I'm gonna kill Fisk, but I love how she wonderfully cautions him from experience, from what she's been through. Says, look, there is no atoning for it. There's no atoning for this. There's no going back. If you do this, it's for keeps. You're gonna end up like me. Yeah. And we have on the flip side with Foggy. Foggy, it's he's again reunited since episode 6 properly. It's kind of nice that they both come together to save Karen. They both basically they call Foggy in to kind of pull Karen from the fire. There, the whole she's surrendering herself to Foggy Nelson and the NYPD, not the FBI. It's a really clever way of saving her, by the way.
Yeah, and one of the things that I kind of forgot to mention with Matt's arc that we might as well bring up now is that this is the first time all season that Matt Murdock has kind of dipped into his toes into the legal well at all, and it feels nice to have that back in play.
That it is. And now, of course, Matt and Foggy, they've been through a lot this season. Again, they've seen each other in episode 6, but of course there's a big murderous Daredevil distraction in that scene. But again, they haven't really seen each other since episode, I guess it would have to be episode 3, because remember, then he steals his ID for 4 with the prison. That's what I'm saying. Like, Matt has been really terrible to Foggy this season. He has. He's been hurt by Matt's intent after everything they've been through. Especially, let me put it this way. So Matt tells him, okay, I'm gonna kill Fisk, and of course, Foggy's very hurt by this, because especially after in the whole of the series, like going back all the way to season 1. Remember season 1, the big Nelson Murdock episode, he confessed to Foggy that he was trying to kill Fisk and he failed, and that really hurt Foggy. And after all of that, after all the vigilante stuff of becoming like Frank Castle in season 2, all of this, it's like we're back to this well again. And Foggy's like, "Oh, come on, man! It's why you steal my bar ID. Now we're on this." So, and of course, Foggy, and this is what's beautiful about Foggy Nelson as a character. So we can squeeze this in here. The major Foggy thing of the story is that Foggy, he's championing. I love that he still champions the system even after the first season, even after all the first season defeat of Fisk, like everything, he's the one champion. Like let's defeat Fisk the same way we did in season 1. Let's team up. Let's bring him down within the system after everything it's failing. Even in the moment where again Fisk has power over him with his family. Even after that, Foggy is still optimistic with his view of the system that we can still bring him down. He's just clinging to that. Just Foggy is absolutely the angel on the shoulder. And that's the thing, like he has more reason to doubt the law than ever before, given his current situation. But he's not giving up, and that's tremendous.
Mm.
All right.
Okay, so Mahoney and Foggy.
So, of course, Mahoney he's supporting Foggy along with this. Let's go to the NYPD in general because I love that Foggy every time he comes up against the cops, they love him after he stood up to Blake Tower.
Yeah, I really like how Mahoney's kind of done a 180 on Foggy. He doesn't look at Foggy as a nuisance at all. It's like kind of the prickly nature of their relationship is kind of like been ironed out, and they're on really good terms right now.
Absolutely, and of course they very historically hold giving the mom cigars and everything. Like I love it. Like Mahoney's never been like he likes Nelson and Murdoch, but he likes him, keeps him a little bit at arm's length professionally, but personally likes the guys. But it's always that sense of like, oh Nelson, it's like the kids from the neighborhood. It's what they are. It's what they grew up to be. And I love that. I love when he tells him to shut up, Nelson. After everyone's telling him to shut up, where he says like, look, he already knows.
Yeah, that is a great bit. Like Foggy's trying to like lay everything out, and it's like these guys are FBI, Nelson. They know the law. Shut up. Let me do my job.
But I love that. That's his way of saying, like, Foggy, save your breath. But his way of saying, shut up, Nelson.
Yeah.
But he says it with love, though. That's the dynamic. He says it with love. That's like he's on Foggy's side. He's still hoping, these. Again, it's kind of returning to the team effort of again, we have a lot of full circle season 1 stuff with the reunion piece of this episode here, where it's like, hey, we're Brett Mahoney in on like, hey, let's bring down Fisk together. He had a lot of cops killed, and of course, just very anti-Fisk mentality. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna help this. Of course, I'm not gonna actually book him. I'm gonna let him out of the cop car once we get him out of harm's way. Of course, so because Mahoney's he's a smart, very much another Jim Gordon figure for kind of in the Daredevil character vein, if you will. It's kind of like the cop who's making the smart choice, the cop who knows who the good people are,
Oh, yeah.
But again, Mahoney, without knowing it, he faces down against Bullseye when he says, hey, they're coming with me. I mean, do you know how dangerous that is? You said, it's tough talking Bullseye, awfully brave.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And I do like how he's kind of like the symbol of hope. You know what I mean? Like him showing up is kind of like the turning point, or one of the turning points for Matt to start believing in people again.
In essence, he is the visual representation or the physicalization of Foggy's belief in the system of law in Brett Mahoney. And if all the cops are like Brett Mahoney, basically putting your faith in the NYPD in the symbol of the law, it's Brett Mahoney, and it's faith well placed.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, I'm sorry, it's occurring to me right now. Oh, I'm going to save it for later. Never, let's go on.
Okay. All right, so finally, Matt and Nadim.
This really boils down to one big scene by the end here. So I love that Matt is not holding a grudge against Nadim, but he knows from the get-go that, okay, Nadim's being forced to do this, so he knew this from the get-go too. If you backtrack, where that's how he knew it was a trap when he was going, when he was at the gym talking to the hallucination of his father. You remember? Okay, no, he's
as you do.
Nadim's luring me into a trap here.
Dexter Morgan's just like, yes, I can relate. Go on.
Little fun fact: Michael C. Hall was considered for Daredevil back then.
Was he really?
Well, remember, it was a rumor that he was going to be Daredevil before Charlie Cox entered the fray at all. Anyway, so at the end, Matt helps save his family, and Nadim, he's very regretful about what he's done, but he asked the big question, like, why would you trust me after what I told them? Why would you trust me? I mean, if I were in your position, I'd probably want to kill me too. I mean, that's why. And of course, this leads to it all hinges on a symbol of hope. Basically, Nadim is kind of the symbol of hope for season 3.
Mm-hmm.
One could say, and I love that in order to testify against Fisk, he wants him to testify against Fisk, and I love that he gets Matt's Matt reveals his identity to Nadim, which is kind of a symbol of trust as well.
It's so well played, Dragon. I love how it gets slowly built up and the music cue and everything, and the whole, like, you saved Karen Page's life tonight. I owe you this much.
Yeah. And I love that he did the right thing, which of course would lead to a real tragedy. And I love that in it's fitting. Let me put it this way: a father does the right thing, and in doing the right thing, doing the
Says
moral
Gus
thing,
Fring.
sure.
A man provides for his family. Go ahead. I'm
No
sorry.
problem. I'm laying out the Jack Murdoch
Yeah, I'm
parallel
sorry.
here.
Go ahead. Go ahead. My
So,
bad.
like Jack Murdoch, you have a father who's doing the morally right thing to set an example for his family, for his son, for what he believes in. And of course, this leads to a near tragedy. In this case, in Jack Murdoch's case, a fatal tragedy. In Dean's case, it was about to lead to a tragedy. His family and he were about to be murdered. It's very fitting that Daredevil saves him from that. From that, and kind of rewarding doing the right thing. Again, very much. Again, Matt's kind of is symbolically coming around to his father's way of thinking. Where again, where he was questioning like why his father did the right thing if he knew he was going to get killed, and Matt's kind of saving another man from a similar fate. That was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A little poetic, one might say.
Sure. Sure.
All right.
Okay. All right. Good deal. That went by quick. Let's get into how this episode dared to be different, Dragon.
Let's see. So, again, we're inspired. It's inspired how we don't just reunite our characters per the whole reunion title overall. I like that because we're so close to the end of things, because we're so close to the end of things in the season and everything, and just kind of again whether they knew they would come back or not, just the closing the loop of the whole season or series, whatever you want to view it. I love that we've separated our characters in their stories. You really think about it, our characters have been really separated this season with their arcs. Because you have Karen going off on her own thing, Foggy going off on her own thing, and Matt going off on his own thing. If you look at it that way, but they've all been connected through each other's actions, including Fisk. They've all tied into Fisk in one way or another. Fisk is the connecting point between all of them,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that they all have kind of taught each other something as a lead-in for the final arc of episodes. They all have kind of educated another in the journeys that they've been on throughout the whole season, and it's a reunion in the other sense of the word. In that it's kind of a reunion that hey, we're trying to make things like the first season. It's like a high school reunion or something, and not just a reunion in the sense of like it's like hey, let's remember the good times. Let's make it a reunion like that versus a reunion like hey, we're reunited. It feels so good.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So I thought that was kind of clever.
Let's see. I do like the fact that most of the episode is kind of we have the villain just like under the hero's nose and he can't do a damn thing about it, and we kind of play with the suspense of that.
I'm going to switch that around a little bit. The hero's under the villain's nose.
Oh yeah, sorry, but same thing. You get the point.
Yeah, I do. I like that the whole the faith parallel, having faith in the legal system, faith with the whole church setting. It's kind of ironic. That's kind of nice.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. The as I mentioned, the parallels of Nadim to Jack Murdoch and acting moral, and basically all the stuff I already kind of went through there. Even making the preparations with his family, like we gotta get out of here before it's too late. Very much like Jack Murdoch was like trying to make preparations to and trying to get out of there before it was too late. And of course, it didn't work out well for him.
Sure, sure.
Let's see. Matt revealing his identity is a visual symbol of acceptance of both sides. If you really think about it, this whole season's about the whole Matt Murdock side and the Daredevil side. Again, Daredevil removes his mask to reveal Matt Murdock. I know it sounds really simple, but again, it's kind of returning to along with returning to the Nelson and Murdoch fold. Again, like Matt is visually as well as kind of like plot wise, becoming who he was before his quote unquote death that led to the resurrection.
Yeah.
Let's see. I love Karen and Matt trying to regain their status quo and the whole atoning sin idea. And of course, having all this done within a church is really good. All that's really clever.
Yeah, I don't have much on this one, Dragon, because it's kind of just I mean, to be honest with you, it's not really that strong of an episode for me. It's more of just kind of a placekeeping episode. It's like the last real I don't know, man. I don't have much that I'm sorry.
Let's say Sister Maggie. Sister Maggie, the way we use her here, she's really clever, and she's in a pinch, and she's in a pinch. She's very useful with the distractions that she's laying on there.
Hmm.
I like. I like how we're turning full circle into like a literal story point versus just kind of we're out of ideas. We're going to do what we did in the first season again. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like okay, we're literally just okay. That's what the season is about towards the very end. We got to get back to the way things were. Let's see. Okay. Um, we have all these legit search parameters and everything. That's really nice. Fisk's speech to the public, I love it. I love the music that plays under it, the composition. It's such a comic book moment. He's addressing the crowd. He's really selling them. You get to see all the signs come down. It's really well shot. Let me put it to you that way. And of course, like the last thing I got here is the logistics legally what we're doing here, like the appeal process that Fisk actually got an appeal because people underestimate the fact you can actually appeal a ruling and you might be able to get it overturned and stuff. So it could always it's funny how that works. And of course, Foggy is in a real mess, and you feel it's a really complicated mess he and his brother are in. And I like how we kind of express that though. Where now Theo's kind of turning on and Foggy's point out, well, you never had to make these decisions. You should have come to me. You knew it was fraud when you signed on to it. It's a really it's an honest complicated problem.
Yeah, I'll give you that much. We do see that Fisk's control is just more and more ever reaching through this episode for sure. I'm sorry, Drake. The reason I'm struggling to come up with stuff, man, is that it's called Dare to be Different, and frankly, this episode is kind of a lot of the same. I mean, that's not to say it's bad by any means, but it's just like, yeah, we get it. Fisk is in control, and Sister Maggie's being resourceful. I mean, that's not really the kind of stuff we haven't seen before. So I don't really see how that's Dare to be Different, but I don't know.
I mean, I'd argue it's different because you'd have your characters sometimes you have like your character hold up in a certain place episode, but here like the parts are still turning. We're not like stalling everything of okay, we have to get through this story point. Where I'd argue again, it feels like we're getting him out of a jam. We're using like these clever legal tactics to get him out of that situation. I don't know.
I guess in that regard, one of the things that I do appreciate about the episode, kind of repeating myself here, but the legal stuff is good for sure.
All right. So we go.
Okie dokie. Artichoke. All right, let me switch over here. All right, blinding moment of awesome. I believe you go first.
Yes. So, okay, I love the reunion of Rabbit in a Snowstorm so much. So, of course, Fisk, he's freed, via the conviction, via the appeal process, working out for him and everything. The first thing he does as a free man, I just love it. It's just like, apparently, the first thing I'm going to do is something apparently I can only do myself. When he goes down there, he visits Mrs. Falb. The point is, he visits the lady who owns the original owner of Rabbit in a Snowstorm. And this, I love this so much. It's this scene. I love how intimate it is. It's Fisk talking to this to the owner of Rabbit in a Snowstorm. She lays out this really compelling story about the origin of the painting. And I love the parallels that it has to Fisk. The idea this was in her family, and it was a beloved piece of art, and the idea that like Nazi essentially is like back during the war, Nazis killed her father in front of her and kind of stole the painting. And basically, she never saw the painting returned after it kind of fell into the government's hands and basically fell into bad hands, and eventually she never saw it. Being the operative thing of the story there, so it's. I think at the end of the day, Fisk respects the similar connection of love and memories that she has to this painting. I love that. I love how true we are to this interpretation of the Kingpin with that idea. It's a gripping story that I believe Fisk would be moved by. And we learned that her father died in front of her, and of course there's a direct parallel. It's almost like a fate. It's almost like a fate sort of thing, where again, Rabbit in a Snowstorm as a symbol of so many things. The original symbol of the wall being Rabbit in a Snowstorm during the origin of the Kingpin, of course, is the murder of his father, is what he thinks of when he sees that wall, when he sees Rabbit in a Snowstorm, before it was recontextualized to be the love that he has for Vanessa. But still, it's almost like fate that he needs this painting. This painting is him. And again, such kind of like, but I think as Fisk kind of comes to learn is that as much importance that he does lay on to this painting, he really doesn't need it at the end of the day, and it's about a mother's strength in the face of adversity. Is kind of the other kind of layer to that story, which also connects to the mother. Both connections to his mother and his father are kind of forayed through this painting and through the woman's story. It's just very well written, And of course, the last bit that really kills it for me in the best of ways is he hears a story and he says, Vanessa would want you to have it. And she's, is that supposed to mean something to me? No, it means something to me. And I just love the fact that it's so beautiful. The fact that I don't think, reevaluating the scene to you, I don't think Fisk intend on hurting this woman at all. I don't think so. I mean, look, if Fisk really,
no, I don't think so either.
And again, I always have the headcanon that Fisk can't harm women because of his upbringing. I don't think he would be able to do that anyway. But regardless, I mean, if Fisk really wanted to, with all the power that we've seen him exercise, if he really wanted to, he could buy the land of the woman's house just to get the painting. If he really wanted to. But I think he just respects the story and showing respect to the painting, and he thinks Vanessa would want this. And what's so great about this, he's denied control for something. He's denied control over something that is symbolic of what he views Vanessa as, what he's personally attached Vanessa to be. And this is a lesson that he needs to learn before his reunion with Vanessa, that he can't control everything and what he thinks Vanessa would want. And he's going to be in for a rude awakening in the next episode. And I thought all of this is just tremendous plotting on a rewatch. And it's a great scene already and connects to one of the most prominent symbols in the entire series. So it's a lesson in control and expectation, and it's dazzling. I love it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so my moment is very simple and kind of goes back. It's very reminiscent of other, not just Fisk, but other Marvel Netflix villains. One of the traditional things about Marvel Netflix villains that we liked for a period of time when Marvel Netflix was still relevant and doing stuff that was interesting. Shots fired. I'm sorry, that was more cynical than I intended it to sound. Is the fact that like Marvel Netflix villains kill off people in really interesting, creative, brutal ways, and this is no exception.
Of course, this trend was started by the Kingpin.
Of course. So, Drake, can you kindly give me the name of this poor fellow? Because I forgot. Wellers, yes, that's right. So Wellers, what I love is that throughout the episode, everyone's like terrified to give Kingpin the bad news that Karen Page is still alive. Like no one wants to do it. It's kind of like a hot potato job. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sorry, Dex is kind of like, oh, well, if you want to call Kingpin and tell him that Karen Page is still breathing, be my guest. And Nadim's is just kind of like, all right, a few more houses, I guess. Even Nadim doesn't want to do it. You know what I mean? So this poor guy, Wellers, he's just like, he's just sitting in the car and he's just like, all right, well, I regret to inform you, sir, that Karen Page is we're still trying to find her.
Well, remember, no, it's that she.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it. Specifically that she's in the custody of the NYPD. And man, Kingpin, he doesn't miss a beat, Dragon. He doesn't miss a beat. He's just like, may I have your jacket?
He commands it, give me your jacket.
Yeah. And then Wellers, I love how Wellers is just like, as soon as he mentions jacket, Wellers knows he's screwed, man. He knows he's fucking screwed, but...
What? Your jacket.
He's trying to buy time. He's just like, what? Your jacket, now! And then, oh god, he just Kingpin just wastes no time, just wraps the jacket around the dude's head and just beats his face in. Yeah, just brutally, just in a brutal fashion. And then my favorite part of the whole bit, Dragon, is when he's telling the driver, like, pull over. We need to dispose of the body.
You see how terrified the driver is.
Right.
And of course, like, by the way, I remember in the trailer, this bit was in the trailer, and I always thought Matt Murdock was on the other end of that jacket, and I was always worried about that moment. Of course, now we can go uber fatal and really, oh my God, just Kingpin hates cars. He hates car rides at the end of the day. He's always just beating people up or killing people in a vehicle or with a vehicle.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to the Braille Trail. And Dragon, I'm terribly sorry. Another reason why I was kind of struggling with the Dare to Be Different stuff is honestly a lot of the Dare to Be Different stuff kind of relates back to the Braille Trail, so I wasn't sure where to put it. But one of the things I do really respect about this episode, and like I said, I was kind of saving it for this sequence, is the fact that it ties together a lot of things from season 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have Mahoney, we have the cops being on the same side as Nelson and Murdoch to take down Fisk. We have Fisk kind of being at the height of his powers and control, and manipulating the press.
We have we have a car kill. We have Rabbit in a snowstorm, factoring in the prominence, and also even better, it's like the origin of Rabbit. It's like him being reintroduced to where Rabbit in a snowstorm came from again.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. So just generally speaking, and again, I apologize. I should have just said that. I've been like, whoa, we'll get into specifics in the Braille Trail. That's what a good podcaster would do, Dragon. You're a bad method actor, Cliff. I'm sorry.
But
every time I have a self-conscious freak out, Dragon, I'm gonna think of that scene now.
Okay, big one. Nadeem is testifying in the last legal effort of Nelson and Murdoch. Emphasis on the last legal effort. If this doesn't work, then Matt's going to have no other option than to kill the Kingpin. So it's a lot is riding on this. Nadeem holds the fate of the entire season in his little.
Sure.
Let's see.
Another thing I should have brought up on Dared to Be Different is just the whole, Nadeem they really do entrust, a lot to Nadeem, not just in terms of the plot, but just in terms of the fact that he's a new character, and they entrust a lot of the plot to him.
Absolutely. Again, Bullseye failed Fisk, and he's very on edge about it. Of course, we're going to see what he does in trying to win favor back with the Kingpin, so that's a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Nelson meets situation, which this one I'm really interested to see how I remember. I know what the end point is. I'm just trying to see because I was really when I was watching the episode, Tiki, and this is why I mentioned the situation, the Dare to Be Different thing, because I remember I love how so tragic it is on a rewatch. Where it's like, oh man, everyone loves Foggy in this position, but he's gonna have to turn it down to save his brother, and the Nelson meets. It's like everyone's like, go get him, Foggy. I love that. I love the brotherly love and the NYPD. Like, yeah, you go like the one DA they like, the one lawyer they like.
Right.
Let's see. Maggie and Matt have unresolved issues. Of course, he's being a little frosty to her here. They shared one scene together, and he didn't really. He says we're fine. I'm fine. He's just kind of brushing her off. So he hasn't really discussed. Well, you're my mom. What?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Seema's freaked out by the attack on the house, and the whole hey, let's go to Disney World at the crack of dawn, at the crack of midnight. And let's see. So
I will admit, out of context, that seems like a very exciting thing to happen to a kid.
It does. Let's see. So I know I'd be excited, but then about all the gunfire might deter me a scooch. I won't lie. Let's see. So Fisk is unable to get Rabbit in a snowstorm.
It's Bob Iger forcing us to spend more money.
Okay. So Fisk, again, he's unable to get Rabbit in a snowstorm at the moment. He is a free man, though, and he's waiting for Vanessa. So he's waiting for his reunion with Vanessa. And I guess lastly, I already went through that. So yeah, we're all good.
Okay, cool. All right, good timing on this, Dragon. Let's get into our Nelson and Murdoch verdict, and then we'll be good to go. Good to get out of here and get some lunch. All right, even though it's midnight my time and even later your time, but all right. So, final thoughts. Go ahead.
Final thoughts from me. This episode's the getting the gang back together episode, and in contemplating the themes of the season before the 1-2 punch of the final 2 episodes. That's kind of how I'd equate this episode. It's not so much a stall before the action, which again is like a lot of shows would do. Like we have a stall before the last 2-part or last uber finale we're gonna have for the season. But we're setting the stage. Again, kind of like Aftermath, we're setting the stage. Only again, Aftermath is decompressing. Where this is okay, we're literally setting the stage for the big 2. Essentially a 2-parter that's going to unfold. with with some really some practical tension of like, okay, well, we're still in the same building, therefore we got to get out of there before time runs out. With more personal character, it's less about the stakes of like, oh god, we're going to be found here. It's more about the personal character stakes of like, okay, what's Matt going to do? And of course, Karen helping facilitate where Matt's headspace is, like that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We continue the theme. I love the theme. I love how we just have these great kind of evolutions of themes in these last couple episodes, T, because we have like the whole fear and truth idea. Sorry, not fear, fiction and truth idea. And here we have hope within the darkness idea that Lantern put into play. And we're making it a great companion piece to the. I think this is a great companion piece to the Karen episode. I feel I underserved the Karen episode a little bit, so I'm going to try to buy a little bit of that back here in the last moments here. Where again, Karen was a wonderful subversion of an episode, warning us. You have no idea what's coming next. If Karen Page doesn't die in that episode, you have no idea what's coming up in the next two episodes. And
Sure.
Puts into play the greater idea on the rewatch here, and I love this going to the next two episodes, that a happy ending can exist, but the question is how much darkness, how much trial and tribulations can you take to get there, to earn it, one could say. How much can you take to earn that happy ending? That's kind of the question put forward. Almost like a Scott Snyder idea, and I dig it, man. I really do. It's like you'll get there, but you're going to be facing some of your worst nightmares and some really horrible, tragic stuff, but it will be a happy ending. It's a question if you can make it to that point, though. You got to earn that happy ending.
Earn it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, final thoughts on my end, man. I got to be honest with you, Dragon. I like the episode. I don't think that season 3 has any bad episodes or even okay episodes. I think they're all good to great. But I got to admit, in the tier list, this one would be on my good tier, not my great tier. I don't get me wrong. I think our blinding moments, both of ours, are very great standout moments, and I think that the Dex subplot and the Nadim subplot are really good, and the reunion stuff is good. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I just, compared to some of the other ones, I just think some of the other ones have more of a, have a little bit more going on. But still, this one is good to get us to our end point. It's a good episode, kind of putting all the pieces in motion for the last stretch for the last two episodes. But this one doesn't really stick out in my mind as being like oh man, Daredevil season 3. If I were to watch one episode again from Daredevil season 3, what would it be? Got to admit, Dragon, I think this one would probably be pretty low in that list on a standalone level. But it does function quite well in terms of, like I said, just getting us to where we need to get to, especially with the titular reunion of it all, to really set the stage for a good final couple of episodes. So overall, I like it, but I'm not jumping up and down about it, honestly.
Hey, before we go, I just want to point out something about our image. It's kind of fun.
Yes.
I love the eyes that Karen's shooting Foggy right here. Like, come on, guys, make up. I know he stole your ID and all that stuff. And like, contemplating the whole season 1. He's contemplating the season 1. Do I, the last poor York, do I kill Fisk or not thing? But come on, guys, we gotta be together for the big 2-episode finale here. Come on.
All right. Okay, so that's all for now until our next Darien installment of Discerning Daredevil. Excelsior!
Enough said.
Memories all alone in the moonlight.